Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Kool Collectibles, back again for another Transformers review, this time the MP-11SW Skywarp. For all your Transformer needs, click the link in the description below to head on over to Robot Kingdom. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Just a quick look at the box and accessories and so on. It's the standard Takara type box, so you get all the information of the figure at the back. And accessories wise, I'm not sure why they called it MP-11SW, because it certainly doesn't include as many accessories as MP-11 Starscream, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. And one thing you will notice, this is not a regular sort of Takara release, because it's a Hasbro Asia release. And with that comes certain things that are not always positive, so I'll get onto that in a second. But that's pretty much the box itself. The one thing Hasbro Asia does quite well are these collector coins. Skywarp comes in this sort of packaging, and I've already taken it out. So the coin sat in there, so that's the packaging. But the coin itself is another beautiful metal coin in the Masterpiece line. So there you have Skywarp there, and don't think, just do. I'm not sure if that's his quote from the original G1 tech spec or not, but I can't remember him ever saying that in the cartoon. But I guess he didn't think very much anyway in the cartoon, so I guess that is appropriate. But yeah, I do love the molding of these coins, and so that'll go along with the rest of my coin collection. He also comes with his collector card, which is another, if it ever focuses, it comes with the standard original look of the Masterpiece cards, where MP-22 recently changed that look. And here's the Masterpiece Starscream equivalent, so you can see that. And obviously, because they didn't include the coronation gear, they've replicated the artwork for MP-11S Sunstorm. Now I guess normally the colouring on the collector card is pretty accurate to the toy, but there probably are a few differences that I can probably point out in a little bit. It also comes with another Megatron gun. Of all the accessories they could have done, at least I would have thought they'd been able to pick something different, maybe reflector or I don't know, an energon cube or something, rather than another Megatron gun. I think this is like the third one that I've got, so I'm not sure. I'll probably just put that in the box or something. And for the pilot, the Starscream had I think the transparent blue, and Sunstorm had the chromed one, I believe. And this one here is more modelled after Dr. Arkeville, I think, the evil genius from some of the episodes in the G1 cartoon. I'm not sure why they made him all black. Would have been nice if there were at least some better paint application, and he does look like he's sitting in a white straitjacket there, but I guess I've never actually even used these on the other figures, so I think they just sit in the accessories box, so no big deal there. And the other thing to note with MP-11SW is that because it's a Hasbro Asia exclusive, it had to come with both Japanese and Chinese instructions, and so the box was actually open, so it was sealed out of the factory, and then the tape cut to insert. I think it was inserting the Japanese ones, to be honest, because these were a Chinese exclusive. So mint in box collectors will probably not like that, but I opened all of mine anyway, so it didn't really make much of a difference. So I'm not sure if there's anything of note in the instruction book. Normally they have some sort of blurb or something at the back, but no major things to note in the instructions anyway. Hopefully they do an MP-11 TC for Thundercracker soon, but we haven't heard anything, so we'll have to wait and see. I'll just grab the figure, hold on. Alright, so here he is, and I gotta say, I am definitely glad to finally have an MP Skywarp in the MP-11 mold, and not the old MP6 mold. and the colouring overall is pretty fantastic and pretty accurate to the original G1 cartoon as well. So because it's a Hasbro Asia exclusive, so either Hasbro US and Hasbro Asia tend to make some differences to the original Japanese Takara releases. And for some reason, the biggest bugbear of mine for this one is the fact the insignia is in that direction. So for all the, I think pretty much all the Takara Seeker releases, I'll just bring in the original Starscream. So on the original Takara and on the original Sunstorm, and even the older molds, I think, all the insignias are upside down on the wings in bot mode, because in the G1 cartoon, that's exactly the way they were 99% of the time. So for whatever reason, Hasbro Asia, just like Hasbro US for their Thundercracker release, decided to swap the insignias around. I know it's a minor thing, but I don't know if it's just my collector OCD and just the fact that I really do prefer cartoon accuracy. I just don't know why they had to bother making that change. Of all the changes to make, they had to make that one. And to make matters worse, on the rear, they've left it upside down, just like the original MP-11. So they left the back of the wing the same. Why couldn't they just leave the front of the wing? I mean, I would have thought it would cost them more in production to make that sort of change as opposed to just running with the standard setup. But I guess, I don't know, someone made that stupid decision. I'm not sure why. The other differences, some of the additional tweaks they do, like for example the Hasbro Thundercracker had some pretty ridiculous tattoos and decals and so on all over him that I really hated, so I never picked him up. Now they're not so bad on Skywarp, but just the additional things are probably a little bit unnecessary. So there are these yellow tips on the wings here for some reason. I actually don't mind the silver around his forearms here and his shoulders. I think they sort of accented it pretty well, along with the the silvers along the null rays there. I'm not quite sure why they bothered putting the purple around the chest pieces here, turbines or whatever they are, so that you can see the ring of purple around there. I can't remember that ever being in the cartoon, and I'm not sure why they bothered doing that here as well. So, but everywhere else is pretty much stock standard. There's not much other paint on him. All the black plastic, from what I can see, is just black plastic and not painted in any sort of black gloss or anything like that. That probably would have been a nicer touch if there was a bit of black gloss or something in there, but most of the paint is in the silver actually, which overall is pretty nicely done. So in comparison to Starscream, I'll just zoom back out again, they do look very, very nice together. So all I really need now is a G1 cartoon accurate colorway for Thundercracker, and not the sort of dark coloring that Hasbro did for their Thundercracker release. That was more G1 toy accurate as opposed to G1 cartoon accurate. I guess other differences to MP Starscream, the original release of MP Starscream had a very sort of dark gunmetal grey face application, where Skywarp here is much more of a silver that matches the rest of the body. So everything else is pretty much the same. I actually didn't even notice that all the figures originally had these little silver joints or chromed joints behind here. So I thought that was actually a difference, but Starscream's got that as well. Now, on the positives, the biggest positive, of course, is I can now lift this up from the chest, and it won't flop. The lower half of the body won't just flop down. But with Starscream here, if I try the same thing, that happens. And that was a pretty common complaint for the original release of Starscream. Now if I just lift that back up again, and just zoom in here and just see if you can see. If you can see back there, right at the back, there is a little tab that you can see, a black tab there that's sticking out. Now there's a corresponding hole that is supposed to, that fits over and really is supposed to peg in. Now on the Skywarp here, it's the exact same design. And I won't, maybe I will just lift it up a little. It's exactly the same design. You can probably just make out in my light there the tab, but when you push it down, you hear a click and it just locks in place. And so I'm not sure exactly what they've done internally, or maybe they've just made the little hole there slightly smaller so that it does clip into place, but that's probably the best modification that they've made to the figure. Now I'm not sure what the Hasbro US Thundercracker is like, and whether or not that has the same floppy issue, but this Skywarp is definitely an improvement in that regard. Articulation wise, pretty much exactly the same as all the other Seekers in this mold. You get a wide range of motion. I guess rotating these arms still has the issue where the boosters here will flip up, as you can sort of see that they are trying to flip up there. So you still need to hold that and just rotate it around that ratchet joint. And they do swing out, that you can see here in that arm. And the legs, I guess it's still got the same sort of issues with the legs. They're on ratchets, and the range of motion isn't that great to really have him in sort of dynamic poses, which aren't helped by these ankles that really can't rotate or do anything else except look in that particular direction. So I guess the posability for these guys is not as great as the Autobot cars that have come out over the last couple of years, but just standing there like that, and in most of those poses that I prefer anyway, these Seekers do look pretty awesome. So that's pretty much Skywarp in bot mode. What else can I say? The same on the back. No other real differences to the other Seekers. Now I guess the back here, I wish the silver continued on a bit better instead of having that break with the black plastic. So this bit down here is silver, and that's silver, and a bit of a gap there. So that's probably the only other nitpick that I can think of. What else? Oh, I guess with his head sculpt here, it's just straight plastic. Whereas if I just bring back Starscream here, I noticed that the head sculpt is actually got a black gloss paint on it. It's either it's either black gloss plastic or paint, but the Skywarp here is just a matte plastic. So it would have been nice if they had the gloss as well, but I guess that's another little nitpick. Now I'll just do the transformation off camera, because I'm terrible at the MP-11 transformation. I tried it with Sunstorm on camera and pretty much gave up. So I'll try it. I've got Sunstorm in alt mode already, so I can give you a quick comparison with the way they look against Skywarp. So just give me a few minutes and I'll get back to you. Hold on. Alright, so here he is in alt mode, and it was as painful as I remembered it to be. The hardest thing was actually getting the nose cone here through the gap in the torso area. I probably even ended up scuffing a little bit the sides here, not too much, but the joints were fairly tight, and I managed to finally work out how to get it through. But the details overall I think are better than the MP6. From memory, the MP6 alt mode looks very dark and doesn't have enough of the purple accenting, at least for my liking anyway. But the rear wings and so on look really nice, and the null rays and so on. The underneath is as I guess symmetrical and streamlined as it can be in this particular mold. I think the original MP6 and 7 molds were a little bit more streamlined in alt mode, and I've got a little bit of an issue here where I just can't get that in further. So I'm not sure if it's just this sort of mold and just some of the tolerances, but I'll try and play around with that in a second. But as you can see, I've got Sunstorm here, and you can see the the difference in the insignias there. So this is the MP-11S, and I just prefer this so much more. I'm not sure why. It's just a consistency and so on. But the paint app on this one here as well. You know, there are more accents of paint on various areas, like the rear wing tips here and so on. The rudders, or whatever they're called, these are just black plastic. Would have been nice if that was painted or something like that. Also, these are just matte black plastic as well, whereas on here they are nicely painted and in the gloss yellow. So yeah, I guess they cheapened out on some areas and added paint in others for some reason. So any other issues? I guess it comes with the standard sort of gap issue there, that I guess it's not so obvious on the original MPS, but I struggled to try and get that closed as much as I could, and getting this wheel out was a real pain in the ass as well. But overall, that is pretty much MP-11S Skywarp. If they can end up releasing a Thundercracker in more accurate G1 colors, and with the same sort of box art, I'll definitely be up for that as well. Now, I got this from Robot Kingdom for 160, I think, US, and I guess it's not as exclusive as they made it out to be, because everyone, I think a whole bunch of retailers now, including Robot Kingdom, have restock of Skywarp, and most of them are at a slight price increase. So if you missed out the first time, this is probably going to be a limited second batch as well. So get in before the prices do really go nuts on the aftermarket. So that is pretty much it. Hope you like that review. Hope you can click that subscribe button. I've got probably MP24 coming. I still haven't totally made up my mind on Star Saber, and I'm still fingers crossed on MP23 Exhaust actually making it to release as well. The stupid Marlboro tobacco companies are kicking up a fuss with their copyright and so on, but they have stopped sales to the US, but hopefully the rest of the world can still get Exhaust. So hope you can stay tuned for that, and I've still got the rest of the Wave 2 Combiner Wars figures to review in the next couple of days as well. So I hope you can stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers, bye.